Welcome back. We are getting into our Learning the Words segment. We are in Genesis chapter 26. We're going to be talking about Isaac and Abimelech. Are you ready? Chapter 26. We're really making some good headway in Genesis, aren't we? The Lord says that He tells us the end from the beginning. So this is one of the most prophetic books of the Bible. And thank you so much, Troy, for putting the scriptures up for us. I know the chat room is making comments that they're very thankful. And so I appreciate that too. That's cool, isn't it? All right, let's get into chapter 26 of Genesis, talking about Isaac and Abimelech. And there was a famine in the land beside the first famine that was in the days of Abraham. And Isaac went unto Abimelech, king of the Philistines, unto Gerar. And the Lord appeared unto him. Have you noticed that the Lord appears to Abraham a lot? I've noticed that, haven't you? He appears to Abraham quite a few times. The Lord appeared unto him and said, Go not down into Egypt. Dwell in the land which I shall tell thee of. Sojourn in this land, and I will be with thee, and will bless thee. For unto thee and unto thy seed I will give all these countries, and I will perform the oath which I swear unto Abraham thy father. Did you know that Israel is so much bigger than Israel is right now? Israel takes up a lot of these other countries around it as well. It's huge once they get all of their lands promised to them back, and it won't be just a little 9-mile wide slither anymore. I will give all these countries, and I will perform the oath which I swear unto Abraham thy father. Now he says, I will bless thee for unto thee and unto thy seed. Now the seed is Christ that descends from Abraham. He's the one that inherits all the promises as the descendant. In verse 4, and I will make thy seed to multiply as the stars of heaven, and will give unto thy seed, that's Jesus, okay, all these countries, and in thy seed shall all the nations of the earth be blessed. So it's talking about there is a flesh and spirit interpretation here. You've got literal Israel, the physical, biological descendants of Abraham, and then his seed is Christ as well. That's the spiritual interpretation, the seed being Christ, and then physical interpretation, the seed being the literal descendants. In verse 5, because that Abraham obeyed my voice and kept my charge, my commandments, my statutes, and my laws. Abraham loved God. He wanted to follow him. In verse 6, and Isaac dwelt in Gerar. In verse 7, and the men of the place asked him of his wife. And we've seen what Abraham's standard answer is when anyone asks him about his wife. Evidently, Sarah, what her name was changed to, was very beautiful. She was fair, and everywhere he went, he was afraid that these people that they met would kill him and take her. So he says, and the men of the place asked him of his wife, and he said, she is my sister. For he feared to say, she is my wife. Lest, said he, the men of the place should kill me for Rebekah, because she was fair to look on. I'm sorry, I was talking about Sarah, but it looks like Isaac did the same thing, okay? And it came to pass when he had been there a long time that Abimelech, king of the Philistines, looked out at a window and saw, and behold, Isaac was sporting with Rebekah, his wife. They were just goofing around or something. And Abimelech called Isaac and said, behold, of a surety she is thy wife, because he saw them interacting with each other. How saidst thou, She is my sister? And Isaac said unto him, Because I said, Lest I die for her. And Abimelech said, What is this thou hast done unto us? One of the people might lightly have lain with thy wife, and thou shouldest have brought guiltiness upon us. And Abimelech charged all his people, saying, He that toucheth this man or his wife shall surely be put to death. Safeties of the Lord, he can take care of you. Verse 12, Then Isaac sowed in that land and received in the same year 100-fold. And the Lord blessed him. Everything he touched just turned to gold. He was very prosperous. And the man waxed great and went forward and grew until he became very great. For he had possession of flocks and possession of herds and great store of servants, and the Philistines envied him. For all the wells which his father's servants had digged in the days of Abraham his father, the Philistines had stopped them and filled them with earth. Why would they do that? That's stupid, isn't it? That's kind of like the Palestinians today. When Israel pulled out of Gaza in 2005, they left an oasis. They left greenhouses and houses and businesses and all of these things. And the Palestinians went in there and bulldozed everything to the ground. Had they been smart, they would have gone in there and taken over those working businesses and made an income for themselves. They could have just picked up right where the Jews left off and turned these were working businesses when the Jews left. But instead, they foolishly razed everything to the ground with dozers. And 2 years after Israel pulled out of Gaza, it was a wasteland again. The land will not bear for anyone but the Jews. And that's what adds to the fury of the Palestinians, because they wanted this beautiful oasis, Gaza, and when it was handed to them, it just turned to dust. It wouldn't bear for them. It wouldn't. It just turned right back into a wasteland again, and which really upset them. Okay, made them just hate Israel all the more. In verse 16, and Abimelech said unto Isaac, Go from us, for thou art much mightier than we. And Isaac departed thence and pitched his tent in the valley of Gerar and dwelt there. And Isaac digged again the wells of water which they had digged in the days of Abraham his father, for the Philistines had stopped them after the death of Abraham. And he called their names after the names by which his father had called them. Isn't that silly? That they would fill up a working well with dirt. Why didn't they just use it? It makes you wonder, doesn't it? Let's see. The Philistines had stopped them after the death of Abraham, and he called their names after the names by which his father had called them. In verse 19, and Isaac's servants digged in the valley and found there a well of springing water. God always provides, doesn't he? And the herdmen of Gerar did strive with Isaac's herdmen, saying, The water is ours. And he called the name of the well Esek, because they strove with him. And they digged another well. So see, Isaac's servants dig a well, and the herdmen's, they don't want them to use the well. They say, hey, that's our water. They digged another well and strove for that also. And he called the name of it Sitnah. And he removed from thence and digged another well, and for that they strove not. So once Isaac's men had dug them 2 wells, they dug a third, and they finally didn't try to take that one from them. They kept the other 2. Okay. And he called the name of it Rehoboth. And he said, For now the Lord hath made room for us, and we shall be fruitful in the land. And he went up from thence to Beersheba. And the Lord appeared unto him the same night. Here's the Lord appearing again. And said, I am the God of Abraham thy father. Now he's appearing to Isaac. That's cool, isn't it? Fear not, for I am with thee, and will bless thee, and multiply thy seed for my servant Abraham's sake. In verse 25. And he builded an altar there, and called upon the name of the Lord, and pitched his tent there. And there Isaac's servants digged a well. Then Abimelech went to him from Gerar, and Ahuzath, one of his friends, and Phicol, the chief captain of his army. And Isaac said unto them, Wherefore come ye to me, seeing ye hate me, and have sent me away from you? And they said, We saw certainly that the Lord was with thee, and we said, Let there be now an oath betwixt us, even betwixt us and thee, and let us make a covenant with thee. Now, see, they see all of Isaac's blessings, and they're like, oh, we need to be friends with him. He's so blessed. Maybe we'll be blessed too if we're friends with him. In verse 29, that thou wilt do us no hurt, as we have not touched thee, and as we have done unto thee nothing but good. Yeah, right. And have sent thee away in peace. Thou art now the blessed of the Lord. So they took 2 of his wells, and they didn't take the 3rd one from him. He's still digging wells here, okay? And then Isaac begins to wax so great with possessions and animals and servants and wealth that they decide that they want an agreement between the 2 of them, because they need Isaac, okay? They need Isaac. Isaac doesn't need them, but they need him. In verse 30, and he made them a feast, and they did eat and drink. In verse 31, and they rose up betimes in the morning, and sware one to another, and Isaac sent them away, and they departed from him in peace. And it came to pass the same day, this is verse 32, that Isaac's servants came and told him concerning the well which they had digged, and said unto him, We have found water. And he called it Sheba. Therefore the name of the city is Beersheba unto this day. And Esau was 40 years old when he took to wife. Let's see. What is this saying? Okay. And Esau, that's Isaac's son, was 40 years old when he took to wife Judith, the daughter of Beeri the Hittite, and Bashemath, the daughter of Elon the Hittite. So he took himself 2 Hittite wives, which were a grief of mind unto Isaac and Rebekah. They were heathenous. They were nothing like the people of God. And so then we move on into chapter 27. Are you ready? Anybody have any questions? I don't see any. Okay. In chapter 27, let's keep going. And it came to pass that when Isaac was old and his eyes were dim, so that he could not see, he called Esau his eldest son, and said unto him, My son, and he said unto him, Behold, here am I. See, Isaac was blind. And he said, Behold, now I am old. I know not the day of my death. Now therefore take, I pray thee, thy weapons, thy quiver, and thy bow, and go out to the field and take me some venison. He says, go kill me something to eat, and then come back and fix it for me. And make me savory meat such as I love, and bring it to me. that I may eat, that my soul may bless thee before I die. So Isaac has every intention of giving Esau the blessing. So he says, go and go out in the field and hunt and get me meat and make me savory meat such as I love. Evidently, Esau knew his father's favorite dish. In verse 5, and Rebekah heard when Isaac spake to Esau his son. So she heard that Esau was planning, blah, blah, blah. She heard that Isaac was going to give Esau the blessing. And Esau went to the field to hunt for venison and to bring it. Now, in verse 6, and Rebekah spake unto Jacob her son, saying, behold, I heard thy father speak unto Esau thy brother, saying, bring me venison and make me savory meat, that I may eat, and bless thee before the Lord before my death. These blessings were very important. Now therefore, my son, obey my voice according to that which I command thee. Go now to the flock. Now, Rebekah is instructing her son as to what to do. Go now to the flock and fetch me from thence 2 good kids of the goats, and I will make them savory meat for thy father, such as he loveth. So he's saying, go get a couple of goats, and I will make him the dinner. In verse 10, and thou shalt bring it to thy father, that he may eat, and that he may bless thee before his death. So Isaac wants to give Esau the blessing, but Rebekah is going to do a little scheming here to get Jacob the blessing instead of Esau, because she was told that the elder would serve the younger by God. In verse 11, and Jacob said to Rebekah his mother, behold, Esau my brother is a hairy man, and I am a smooth man. My father peradventure will feel me, and I shall seem to him as a deceiver. And I shall bring a curse upon me, and not a blessing. He's worried about this. He does not want to lie to his father. In verse 13, and his mother said unto him, upon me be thy curse. She's saying, let it fall on me for what we're doing here, not you. Upon me be thy curse, my son. Only obey my voice and go fetch me them. And he went and fetched and brought them to his mother, and as his mother made savory meat, such as his father loved. And Rebekah took goodly raiment of her eldest son Esau, which were with her in the house, and put them upon Jacob, her younger son. So now she's made the meat, she's putting Esau's clothes on Jacob. And she put the skins of the kids of the goats upon his hands and upon the smooth of his neck. And she gave the savory meat and the bread which she had prepared into the hand of her son Jacob. And he came unto his father and said, my father. And he said, here am I. Who art thou, my son? And Jacob said unto his father, I am Esau, thy firstborn. I have done according as thou badest me. Arise, I pray thee, sit and eat of my venison, that thy soul may bless me. So he's eating goat, but he thinks he's eating venison, doesn't he? And Isaac said unto his son, how is it that thou hast found it so quickly, my son? And he said, because the Lord thy God brought it to me. And Isaac said unto Jacob, come near, I pray thee, that I may feel thee, my son, whether thou be my very son Esau or not. Because the voice is Jacob's, and Isaac's blind. He can distinguish these voices. And Jacob went near unto Isaac his father, and he felt him and said, the voice is Jacob's voice, but the hands are the hands of Esau. And he discerned him not. So that means he didn't find out that it was Jacob, because his hands were hairy as his brother's Esau's hands. So he blessed him. So he did give Jacob the blessing. And he said, "Art thou my very son Esau?" And he said, "I am." And I bet he hated to lie about that, but his mother was like, "Hey, let it be on me. This is important." In verse 25, and he said, "Bring it near to me, and I will eat of my son's venison, that my soul may bless thee." And he brought it near to him, and he did eat. And he brought him wine, and he drank. In verse 26, and his father Isaac said unto him, "Come near now, and kiss me, my son." And he came near and kissed him, and he smelled the smell of his raiment, and blessed him. See, he's got Esau's clothes on. And said, "See, the smell of my son is as the smell of a field, which the Lord hath blessed. Therefore God give thee of the dew of heaven, and the fatness of the earth, and plenty of corn and wine. Let people serve thee, and nations bow down to thee. Be Lord over thy brethren, and let thy mother's sons bow down to thee. Cursed be every one that curseth thee, and blessed be he that blesseth thee." And it came to pass, as soon as Isaac had made an end of blessing Jacob, and Jacob was yet scarce gone out from the presence of Isaac his father, that Esau his brother came in from his hunting. Uh-oh. In verse 31, and he also had made savory meat, and brought it unto his father, and said unto his father, "Let my father arise, and eat of his son's venison, that thy soul may bless me." And Isaac his father said unto him, "Who art thou?" And he said, "I am thy son, thy firstborn, Esau." And Isaac trembled very exceedingly. He's freaked out. He's like, because he realizes that he already gave the blessing to Jacob. And Isaac his father said unto him, 33. And Isaac trembled very exceedingly, and said, "Who? Where is he that hath taken venison, and brought it me? And I have eaten of all before thou camest, and have blessed him. Yea, and he shall be blessed." Because that blessing can't be retracted and given again. That blessing fell upon Jacob. In verse 34, and when Esau heard the words of his father, he cried with a great and exceeding bitter cry. He's like, "Ah!" And said unto his father, "Bless me, even me also, O my father." And he said, "Thy brother came with subtlety, and hath taken away thy blessing." So he realizes that Jacob came deceitfully and took the blessing. In verse 36, and he said, "Is not he rightly named Jacob? For he hath supplanted me these 2 times. He took away my birthright, and behold, now he hath taken away my blessing." And he said, "Hast thou not reserved a blessing for me?" In verse 37, and Isaac answered and said unto Esau, "Behold, I have made him thy lord, and all his brethren have I given to him for servants. And with corn and wine have I sustained him. And what shall I do now unto thee, my son?" And Esau said unto his father, "Hast thou but one blessing, my father? Bless me, even me also, O my father." And Esau lifted up his voice and wept. He's just devastated. And Isaac his father answered and said unto him, this is verse 39, "Behold, thy dwelling shall be the fatness of the earth, and of the dew of heaven from above. And by thy sword shalt thou live, and shalt serve thy brother. And it shall come to pass, when thou shalt have the dominion, that thou shalt break his yoke from off thy neck." So there is a point where Esau is not under Jacob anymore. In verse 41, this is where Isaac sends Jacob, actually Rebekah and Isaac send Jacob to Laban. And Esau hated Jacob because of the blessing wherewith his father blessed him. And Esau said in his heart, the days of mourning for my father are at hand. Then will I slay my brother Jacob. Sounds like Cain and Abel all over again, doesn't it? Okay, we're going to start at verse 42 tomorrow, should the Lord tarry. Thanks for joining me. And I hope to see you tomorrow, which would be the Sabbath, here, there, or in the air. And remember, do right and risk the consequences. God bless you.